Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into one of the most essential widgets in any Flutter app, the text field. We're going to go from the absolute basics all the way to some pro tips that'll make your developer life so much easier.
I mean, think about it. It's the most fundamental question for any app that's even a little bit interactive. You gotta let your users type in their name, a search query, a password, you name it. So how does Flutter tackle this core task? Well, the answer is the TextField widget. It's Flutter's go-to, beautifully designed, and incredibly powerful solution for grabbing text from the user. And today, we're gonna master it. So here's our game plan for this guided tour. First, we'll cover getting text in and out. Then, we'll make our fields look awesome with decoration. After that, we'll peek under the hood at the widget lifecycle. I'll share some serious pro tips, and then we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways.
All right, let's jump into section 1. First things first, how do we actually get the text that a user has typed? There are really two main ways to go about this, and we'll start with the most straightforward one. You can just use simple callbacks. On one hand, you've got the onChanged callback. This thing fires on every single keystroke, every time the user types or deletes a character. It's perfect for things like live updating search results. Then you've got onSubmitted, which only fires once, when the user says they're done, by hitting the check mark or the done button on the keyboard. That's what you'd use for submitting a login form. Now, callbacks are fine. They get the job done for simple cases, but they're kind of limited. They only let you react to what the user typed. What if you want to set the text yourself, or clear it, or just read its value whenever you want? For that, you need something much more powerful. You need a text editing controller. The best way to think about a text editing controller is like a remote control for your text field. It gives you complete command. You can use it to set the initial text when the field first appears. You can grab the current text at any moment from anywhere in your code just by looking at the controller's .text property. You can even do advanced stuff like programmatically selecting text. It really is the standard, most robust way to manage a text field. But, and this is so important, this power comes with one absolutely critical rule that you cannot forget. The controller is holding onto resources in memory. So when you're done with it, like when the screen it's on is closed, you have to clean it up by calling the dispose method. Forgetting this is how you create memory leaks, and it's probably one of the most common pitfalls for developers new to Flutter. Okay, so we've got the data handling down. Now for the fun part, making our text fields actually look good. A plain, unstyled field is functional, sure, but we want our apps to look polished. And this is where the decoration property comes into play. Just about every visual tweak you'd ever want to make to a text field is controlled by a single object you pass to its decoration property. And that object is called input decoration. It's your one-stop shop for all things styling. At first glance, input decoration can feel a bit overwhelming because it has a ton of properties. But it's much easier if you think about it in logical groups. You've got a whole set of properties for labels and hints, like the floating label or the grayed out placeholder text. You've got another set for adding icons either before or after the text. You can define the border style. Maybe you want a simple line underneath, or maybe you want a full box around it. And crucially, this is also where you handle error states by providing some error text to show the user. All right, time to pull back the curtain and see what's happening under the hood. Understanding the sequence of events, the widget's life cycle, is absolutely key if you want to build predictable, bug-free UIs. So when a user hits that done or submit key on the keyboard, a very specific flow gets kicked off. First, the onEditing complete callback is triggered. Its main job is to finalize the edit and, by default, dismiss the keyboard. Then, immediately after that, the onSubmitted callback, the one we talked about earlier, gets called, and it's passed that final committed value. This two-step process gives you really fine-grained control. And here's a neat little internal detail for you. You ever notice how if you're typing in a text field inside a long scrollable list, and you scroll it off the screen and then back on, your text is still there? The cursor is even in the same place. Well, that's not magic. It's because when a text field has focus, it uses a special mechanism to tell Flutter, hey, don't get rid of me, I want to stay alive. This prevents it from being disposed and losing its precious state. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, you've got the fundamentals down. You can control the data, you can style the field, and you understand its life cycle. Now, let's level up with a couple of pro tips that will save you from some major headaches. Let's start with a little pop quiz. Take a look at this family emoji. How long is it? As a human, you'd say, well, it's one character, obviously. But for a computer, well, it's not quite that simple. Now check this out, because these results are wild. If you just use the standard string.length property, it tells you the length is 8. If you use string.runes, you get 5. Neither of those is what the user actually sees. The only way to correctly measure a string's length the way a user perceives it is by using the special characters package and calling .characters.length. It understands that complex emoji is a single visual unit, and it correctly returns 1. You have to remember this for things like character limit counters. Another thing that trips a lot of people up is knowing when to use a text field versus its cousin, text form field. The rule of thumb is actually really simple. If you just have a single standalone input field, text field is perfect. But the moment that field becomes part of a larger form, where you need to validate multiple fields at once, or save or reset the whole form together, you want to use a text form field. It's literally a text field that's been wrapped with all that extra form-related goodness. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down into a simple, actionable cheat sheet that you can use every single time you need to build an input field in your app. Here it is, your text field checklist. Number 1, for any real control, just reach for a text editing controller. Number 2, and I can't say this enough, you have to always dispose that controller. 3, all your styling lives inside an input decoration object. 4, when you're counting characters for the user, it has to be .characters.length, no exceptions. And finally, number 5, if your field is inside a form widget, use a text form field. You stick to this list and you will avoid 90% of the common problems people run into. So there you have it. You're now armed with the tools and the knowledge to handle one of the most critical pieces of any user interface. The only question left is, what powerful, amazing user experience are you going to go build next?